Hi book friends, I'm Erin, and this is Erin Go Read. This is going to be my top 10 favorite things of 2019, non-book related. So these are things, products I've been using, or processes that I've been incorporating into my life that have just improved my lifestyle and the way that I spend my time. This is actually the second time I filmed this because if you can't tell by the improved video quality, I got a new phone. I record off my iPhone. I had an iPhone 7 before. This is the iPhone 11, and I was looking at the wrong side. So I had the home button before, and now you swipe up from the bottom, and if I'm looking here over on the right side, there's this little like white glowy bar kind of thing. And I must have been looking at that instead of at the actual camera. So I have a whole video where I'm basically looking like this. So it looks like I'm like a newscaster and we're switching cameras or something. Anyhow, so these are my top 10 favorite things, processes from 2019. And the first one seems like maybe duh, I probably should have known this before. Maybe you already know this. I accidentally discovered what a great shave you get for me on my legs when you exfoliate your skin first. So I have two products I've been using for this, both of which I need to be replaced. I'm running out. One is just a sea salt scrub or a sugar scrub. This one is actually from Passion Parties. I have a friend who did Passion Parties, and I was just interested in the scrub, and it's a really nice one. It's exfoliating and also moisturizing. And then this is the very last remnants of the Sandstone bar from Lush. I actually just reordered this morning a new bar of this. And so just exfoliate, scrub your legs real good before you shave, and then even if you have time, scrub them again after you shave, and the softest legs I've ever had. The next is indoor plants. I've never been good at keeping plants alive. I always envied my sister in her house full of indoor plants, and there's just such a liveliness and peace, calming sense of calm that plants bring. I love being out in nature, so why wouldn't I love having nature in the house with me? So I started off with a handful of indoor plants kind of scattered about my house, mostly dominated in the rooms where I spend the most time, the room that I spend the most time, which is my living room. And I'll insert some footage of those little guys here. All of them are still alive except one ivy, which I basically drowned. So over here in my office, in that white pot right there, you might be able to see some sad, droopy ivy. I just read the little thingy they put in there, and it's supposed to be in well-drained soil, and there's no drainage possible in that pot, and it's like soup. I made ivy soup, so not too bad. I kept everybody else alive except for that one, which is good because in the past I haven't even been able to keep succulents alive. That's how bad I am. Next up is at-home laboratory testing. So Everlywell is an at-home testing company that they send you a box, this little kit with just a little finger stick thingy, like alcohol swabs and a little finger stick thingy, and this card, really clear instructions. There's video tutorials on their website to show you how to do it. If you have any questions, you mail it into them, super easy. You just drop it off at the post office. And whatever the test is they chose, you will receive an email with those results. One, I wanted to look at my inflammatory markers, CRP, and look for food sensitivities. Egg yolks came back as a very likely sensitivity for me, so that's something that I can play with and see if I remove egg whites from my diet, do I feel any difference? But the biggest thing for me is vitamin D. So I don't have the gene that converts sunlight into vitamin D. And so if I'm not regularly supplementing with vitamin D, my level gets very low, and it affects everything from your immune system to your mental health to your skin. The way I first noticed that I was having issues with vitamin D was that the corners of my mouth would crack, and I would like open up my mouth to brush my teeth, and you could hear a pop, and I would like bleed down the corner of my mouth, and my numbers were very low. And so even if I spend lots of time in the sun, like over the summer, I was training for a marathon, wearing, very little clothes, running for hours at a time in the sun, super dark tan, but my vitamin D levels were way below normal. What's really great about this being a home test is that I can test it, find out, okay, here was my baseline when I was not consistent at all about taking my my supplement. My vitamin D level was 12. And then after I started taking 1,000 IU a day for a month, I retested and I was only at 18. So improved, but still very below normal. Normal is like 30-ish. And so then I started taking 5,000 IU a day, and I did that for a couple months, and I finally made it up to the normal range. So the last thing I've done is, now that I know that 5,000 IU is a good supplement level for me, I've added Arctic cod oil capsules. And so the next time I test, which will be in about a month, I'll be able to test, did taking the Arctic cod liver oil improve my vitamin D over where it was with just the straight vitamin D supplementation. So, and you can track all of these on their website. They send you an email, you log in. It's great. So this is just one of the little cards that comes in. So Everlywell, this will be, I will link this below with my referral code. I think maybe I get some sort of like credit towards my next test or something like that if you use the referral code. But you can test all sorts of things. Food sensitivities. If you're a man, you can test your testosterone. I think there's some other female related testing that you can do. Go explore that, and it's much more accessible than going to your doctor to have it done, because a lot of times, unless your doctor agrees that there's a significant need for some sort of test, they won't do it. And they probably won't test something like your vitamin D as frequently as I would like to, because I can't experiment and say, okay, I did nothing and this is what it was. I added this element for 2 months and this is what it was. So anyway, I think it's a really valuable tool. Number 4 is related to number 5. I'll get to that. And that is having Himalayan sea salt lamps and just orange or red light bulbs. I won't go like super deep dive into this, but basically, if you can make your indoor lighting mimic more of the outdoor lighting, like when the sun goes down, the blue light spectrum lights go off, and then you have what basically mimics like a fire glow. So, our ancestors didn't have electricity. They had lamps, they had fire lamps, they had burning fires for light and warmth at night. And then so they go to bed at a much more reasonable time, probably because they just naturally get tired based on the hormone signaling that those signals cause. And then when the sun comes up, you naturally wake up again. The hormone signaling is a big part of that. And so I have found that when I have, since I have switched to this and really try to limit my blue light exposure in the evening after the sun goes down, I am much more ready to go to sleep, and I get much better quality sleep than when I've been inundated by bright lights in my house, because we basically can mimic daytime in our houses. It can be 10 o'clock at night and it's super bright in your house. So your body perceives that as it's still daytime. So this is the lamp. I actually keep this one in my living room. This is on the smaller side. It's like a medium-sized one. I have a larger one that I keep next to my bed, and that actually is bright enough that as long as I'm laying on the side of the bed where the lamp is, it's bright enough for me to read, but it's not, but because it is on the red light spectrum and not the blue light spectrum, it does not affect my sleep. The brand of Himalayan sea salt lamps I have is Levoit. This is the Kana, Levoit Kana. And I just got these off of Amazon. And then number 5, basically due to the use of the red light spectrum in the evening, early to bed, early to rise. So I find that because I don't have the bright lights, I'm more naturally following more of a natural circadian rhythm, not staying up too late, which when you go to bed early, it's easy to wake up early. And I love having a relaxing, non-rushed morning where whether or not I have somewhere to be in the morning, I can have time to have my coffee, do my Bible study, maybe do some stretching or yoga, have some time to read before and kind of go with like a walking start into my day instead of being jolted into rushing around because I have to get somewhere. And because I've gone to bed early, I wake up rested and ready for the day. And then if you do get up and you start doing things, it's amazing. By 9 o'clock, you could have like a full day's worth of work done, and it feels amazing. Did I say amazing enough? Number 6 is collecting classics in editions. So I will insert some footage here of some of the editions that I've been collecting. So some of those collections are the Penguin Clothbound Classics, the Penguin English Library Classics. I this year started off just in bookstores, then I ended up getting more off of eBay. There's a Reader's Digest hardback collection set, which looks beautiful. The Vintage Red Spine series, the Penguin Modern Classics. All of these, I can start to accumulate these classics and have them in my home, and then they're in these nice, beautiful editions that are kind of chunked together on my shelves. Number 7 is time with grandma. My great-grandma Ruby is 97 years old, and she is an excellent storyteller, mostly because she has the most remarkable She has the most remarkable memory of anyone I have ever met. Not the type of memory where she can tell you the first 300 digits of pi, like who cares beyond 3.14? She can tell you stories from back to when she was like 3 years old. She could tell you at any point in her life the name of like her neighbors or the butcher and how many kids the butcher had and his wife cheated on him and whatever. She has the most amazing ability to recall. And what's so great about this, because she's 97 years old, she is like an American history textbook. So she was born in Arkansas at 3 years old, moved in a covered wagon to Oklahoma with her family, where she lived until young adulthood. And I think she was about 7 when the Great Depression started. So she lived in the Dust Bowl. She can tell you about Hoover Hogs and the New Deal, FDR's New Deal, and all of the public works programs that he implemented. She had many brothers, cousins, brothers-in-law, sisters that took part in some of those programs. Her father was a sharecropper. So much information that I learned in history. She's just a wealth of knowledge. So while it's difficult to get a word edgewise in, I've really just started to prod her and just get her to tell me more stories. Ask about what it was like in LA in the 50s, or I can ask her about what it was like living in Oklahoma with Native Americans and African Americans at that time. She's such a wealth of information, and she loves telling the stories. I love hearing the stories, and so I highly recommend, if you have some elderly folks in your life, grandpas, grandparents, aunts, uncles, neighbors, whatever, ask questions and just dive deeper. And we love, if you're watching this channel, you probably like stories, and so get a story from a real person, because they, I'm sure, would love to tell them. Number 8 is my bullet journal. I started probably the end of last year, kind of bullet journaling, and I use it much more regularly now, and it's made a really big difference. But the list I'm reading off of right now is in my bullet journal. I will link a bullet journal video that I did recently. I'm pretty minimalist when it comes to my bullet journal. I don't do like these big elaborate spreads and everything like that. When I first started doing it, I was kind of going that way because that was all the videos I was seeing. But for me, that was too much of a project. That was too much effort, and it was taking away from my productivity rather than adding to it. So for some people, it's therapeutic. They love doing it. Good for you. That doesn't work for me. So I have a much more simplistic style, and it's just very functional for me. So yeah, like I said, I will link that recent bullet journal video I did up above and down below. Number 9 is kind of a funny one, but we're on YouTube, and one of the things that I like watching on YouTube is barbering videos. So haircuts, particularly men's haircuts. So I've been cutting my husband's hair ever since he was injured. I did it a little bit before he was injured because Marines have to have their haircut typically every week, and that gets to be expensive, especially when you're private first class Lance Corporal. Now I am his sole barber, and I absolutely love doing it. And I started watching these barbering videos just to get pointers on different things, and I ended up really loving just the whole process. There's a particular channel that I watch almost exclusively, which is Beard Brand, and they sell like men's grooming products, but they have a handful of barbers that they follow, and you just watch them give a haircut in their barbershop. It's so satisfying. I think you watch this man come in. He's coming in for a haircut, so he's not like all done up. He's probably is just kind of fresh out of the shower and just his naturally shaggy self. And then you watch this transformation and he walks out all dapper and clean. And I just love it. It's so satisfying. It's a really good, if I'm feeling kind of anxious and stressed, it's a really good way for me to kind of like decompress. And I know it's weird, but I love it. And lastly, number 10 is also YouTube related, and that is ASMR videos, particularly the ambiance ASMR videos. I'm not watching someone like, I don't know, tapping on a counter or something like that. I don't get that. I'm watching particularly, I will link several channels below that I like to watch. ASMR Weekly, Ambient Worlds are two big ones that I like for like fantasy scenes. So a lot of Harry Potter, some Lord of the Rings, Game of Thrones kind of things. It's just lovely to have on in the background. In my living room, which is where I do most of my reading, I have this big TV, and if it's not on, it's just this big black rectangle. So I put YouTube on there, and I'll put one of these ambiance channels on, and I just have something like bright and cheery, or maybe it's like a dark window and it's raining, whatever, some sort of atmosphere in there, the same thing like the fireplace kind of deal. Some of them have music, some of them don't. Right now, the Christmas videos are really popular. If I'm going to be reading, I can't do like Christmas music because I'll try to sing along to the Christmas carols in my head. There are some there's one channel, Tim Janis, I watch a lot of, and that's more just nature scenes. So it'll be like this beautiful forest and a babbling brook or something like that. And it's just it just sets such a nice atmosphere for me to snuggle in and read. So those are 10 of my favorite non-bookish things of 2019. Is there any product, service, or process that you started utilizing in 2019 that has really improved your lifestyle? You probably already knew about the exfoliating before you're shaving. I'm late to that game. Have you used any of these other products, or are you interested in any of these products? Do you think I'm just cuckoo bananas? Maybe. Thank you for watching. See you around the tubes.